A very warm welcome to you in joining me on the Spirit's Voice. I'm sorry I haven't posted anything in a while. I've been extremely busy. I've been out here working on this rental house that my wife and I have. It's actually part of my job. I don't make a job on YouTube. My living is not made there. We run Practical Defense Systems, which is our business. And then we have a couple of rental properties, and I take care of those. And this is one of them. So I've been doing a low-key remodel on it. Right now I'm painting kitchen cabinets, as you can see by the paint on my hands, and restoring those so that we can get the new renter the keys. I have not said anything about publicly about the shooting in Uvalde, Texas, and I haven't for a few reasons. I've had a few people send me emails asking me my thoughts. I don't know. Look, my thoughts are not particularly important, okay? I'm not a police officer in Uvalde, Texas. I'm not a Texas official. I'm just a regular person. We sometimes, I think, we attach too much importance to the views of people who are publicly seen on television or movies or YouTube or whatever. And to that end, I've not said anything because, as is typical with these kind of events, you spend an awful lot of time, first of all, not really knowing what happened because the media tends to publish and talk about whatever information they get whenever they get it without really verifying whether it's true. So all the stuff you hear in the beginning tends to be inaccurate. You find it later on. In fact, my understanding is that the governor of Texas, Governor Abbott, was quite incensed by the fact that he didn't have the accurate information when he went out and had his first press conference. That doesn't surprise me because these things are very fluid and they're very complex, and you kind of discover things as you discover them. So I didn't say anything for that reason. I don't want to be the guy that's pushing out stuff that isn't true. I wanted to wait and let the dust clear and find out what happened before I had any input on it on GunGuyTV or on Practical Defense Systems YouTube channel. And then I will have guests on and we'll talk about what went wrong and what could be done to actually protect children rather than just vilify everyone, point fingers all over the place, and spew vitriol and hatred constantly. And then the other reason I didn't do it is because typically what happens when these things happen is there's an awful lot of virtue signaling. All the famous people and people you know, they come out to tell you how they feel about it and how passionate they are about it and blah, 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 blah. And all they're doing is signaling their virtue to you to show that they are virtuous. There's a great scene, I think, in the Disney movie Hunchback of Notre Dame, when the incredibly prideful bishop or whatever he is says, of my virtue I am justly proud, in a song. And I think, well, that's not virtuous at all. But that's kind of what happens as people come out and do that. And then two, I had to get over it a little bit to where I wouldn't be super emotional about it because I'm a father, and I love my children. I'm a grandfather, and the idea that my kids could be murdered in that way or be terrified at school in that way is heart-wrenching to me, and I think it is to any parent. But then we come down to the question of why. Why do these things occur? And it's a funny thing about our leaders. They want to talk about the root causes of illegal immigration when they know they don't want to stop illegal immigration by doing the practical things they could do to put an end to it. So they talk about root causes, and they don't even know what the root causes are because they are the root causes and their policies are the root causes, and they kind of know that, so they keep doing it. But when it comes to horrific events, evil, when it comes to evil doing evil, they don't want to talk about the root causes because our society is the root cause of that. You know, the whole story of mankind, the entire story of creation is a good versus evil story. Don't you love those movies? Die Hard, you know, you have the one cop and he's going against the evil guy who's taken over the bank, and even the David and Goliath story is such a great story because you do have this incredibly powerful guy and this little kid, you know, but he's got God on his side. and he chose good as opposed to evil. The whole story of humanity is a good versus evil story, and it's about God hoping that his children will choose good and not evil. That's it. That's this whole book. That's this whole Bible, this whole thing in a nutshell. It's a story of good versus evil and God trying like mad to work out ways to convince his kids to choose him because he's good instead of that other guy who ain't so bueno. He's evil. But in our society, we want evil. We don't want good, apparently. We want evil, and so we've chosen evil in every way, and we've pushed good out. We've done it for decades now. We don't want God in our schools. We don't want under God in our Pledge of Allegiance. We don't want in God we trust on our money. We don't want God anywhere, apparently, in our society. We keep pushing good out because we want evil. You want proof that we want evil? Okay, we want to go out and be promiscuous and have sex with anybody we want to, and if we get a pregnancy, we want to murder the child before it's born. That is evil. Let that sink in. And our society wants that. We're waiting for a decision on Roe versus Wade from the Supreme Court, and people are claiming that it's their right to murder a child before it's born. In fact, some Democrat politicians, Chuck Schumer being one, tried to pass a bill that would have expanded that right to include up until the day of birth, which means the day the baby is going to be born, before it's born, if the mother decides she doesn't want the baby, she can murder the baby in her womb. That is evil. We want to talk to little kids in school, in kindergarten, and confuse them about their gender. That's what we want to do. Our society wants to do that, apparently. We want to go in there and we want to talk to them about gender and tell the little boys, you might not really be a little boy, you might be a little girl. In fact, why don't you start acting like a little girl, and we'll put on little girls' clothes and like that, little girls' makeup, and you can act like this drag queen that we got dancing up in front of on the stage at school, on the auditorium during recess or whatever, and then you can determine whether you're a little girl or not. Oh, you know, you little girls, you might not be little girls, you could be little boys. My friend, that's evil. That's what it is. It's evil. We've chosen evil in so many ways, and we've pushed God out. We're living the story. We're living the story of the battle between two forces, good and evil. And we're the key character in the story. We're the stars of the play. And the way the story is supposed to go is that some of us are supposed to choose good. But the truth is, most of us are going to choose evil. When you, as a society, in your social norms, in your societal rules, however you want to describe them, societal norms, social norms, in your laws, you start legalizing evil and criminalizing good. When you say to somebody who riots and kills and destroys that they don't have to go to jail, and if they do go to jail, the soon-to-be Vice President of the United States is going to come up with the money to bail you out, and the local district attorney is not going to prosecute you. But if you show up to argue your point and you happen to be on the other side of the spectrum, you don't want evil, you want good, well, they're going to come up with a reason to tell you that you can't go to church because there's a disease out there. And if you try to go to church, like some folks did in England, or actually in Canada, I think, a gentleman did in Canada, you're going to get arrested. Some people got arrested in the United States over that, just showing up to church. This is the world that we live in. Why are we surprised that in an environment where we want evil, we go after evil, we choose evil, our entire society chooses evil, our world wants evil, that evil shows up at a grade school and kills 19 children and 2 teachers. Why is that such a shock? It shouldn't be. Well, because it wasn't evil, it was the gun. That's what it was. It was the gun. The gun caused him to do it. Ugh. We have destroyed marriage in this country. We've eviscerated it. We've taken the institution of marriage, which was founded by God, and we've turned it into something totally unrecognizable. And now, the vast majority of people who get married get divorced. God hates divorce. And you know why? Because it's evil. There are couples now, some of them are famous, by the way, who have what are called open marriages. And what that means is they just sleep with whoever they want, but they're married. That is evil. But they want evil, and so they go after evil. The problem is they want the evil they want, but they don't want the evil that they don't want. And it doesn't work that way. If you choose evil, you get the whole shebang. You get the whole thing. You cannot get a little evil and leave the rest out. Oh, I want this evil because I enjoy it. If you change your society so that all the little enjoyable evils that you think are the coolest things you get, and you get to play around in the evil side of things, then you get it all. You get it all. And that's why somebody showed up to a supermarket and shot a bunch of people dead. That's why somebody showed up to a church here in California, a Taiwanese church, and shot a good doctor dead. That's why a young man who was disaffected, broken home, all the various things that were wrong with his family and his life are because society has chosen evil. And so it turned him evil, and he shows up at school and he kills a bunch of children and 2 teachers, and he would have kept on going except that he got shot by law enforcement. Now, I'm going to shock you with a piece of reality right here. There is no government fix to this, because an earthly secular government cannot legislate evil away, especially when that very same government has chosen evil over good in the first place. You know, it's a funny thing. Evil doesn't care what human laws you pass because it's evil. Criminally insane people who do evil do not care about the laws you pass because they are, criminally insane. They are evil. We can't fix this if we choose evil all the time. It's just going to get worse. Look, Paul predicted this in the book of 2 Timothy in chapter 3. He said, "But mark this, there will be terrible times in the last days. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying its power, have nothing to do with them. They are the kind who worm their way into homes and gain control over weak-willed women who are loaded down with sins and are swayed by all kinds of evil desires, always learning but never able to acknowledge the truth. Just as Jannes and Jambres opposed Moses, so also these men oppose the truth, men of depraved minds, who as far as the faith is concerned are rejected, But they will not get very far, as in the case of those men, their folly will be clear to everyone. You, however, you, because you're watching this video, you, however, know all about my teachings, my way of life, my purpose, faith, patience, love, endurance, persecutions, sufferings, what kinds of things happened to me in Antioch, Iconium, and Lystra. The persecutions I endured, yet the Lord rescued me from all of them. In fact, everyone who wants to live a godly life in Christ Jesus will be persecuted, while evil men and impostors will go from bad to worse, deceiving and being deceived. But as for you, that's right, you, as for you, continue in what you have learned and have become convinced of. I don't have an answer for what happened in Texas, in Uvalde, at Robb Elementary, other than Jesus Christ, other than choosing good instead of evil. I suppose on a worldly perspective, the answers are pretty simple. You have to turn schools into secured compounds, basically, just like they've done in other countries, like Israel, I think, pretty much does that. You got to lock them down. You got to have a lot of armed people around. You got to make sure that ingress and egress are completely controlled all the time. And the teachers need to be armed so that if something happens, they're trained and they're armed and they can do something. But unfortunately, that goes against our sensibilities. We want the evils we want, not the ones we don't. I bet you any amount of money, if you could ask the two teachers who were killed if they would have liked to have been armed at the moment they were being shot, the answer would have been yes. Making guns go away isn't going to solve the problem because evil won't go with it. There's only one answer. His name is Jesus, Yeshua. He is the Messiah. And we are living in a universe, a world, an existence created by him and through him, and in him all of it holds together. And the whole goal of the whole thing is for some of us to choose good when the majority of us will choose evil. And that is why he explained, enter through the narrow gate, because only a few find it. Don't enter through the wide gate because it's wide and it's long, and most people will go there. I wish I had a concrete secular answer for you, but there isn't one. Thank you for putting up with my my ranting message here today, and thank you very much for being part of the Spirit's Voice. Walk with God wherever you go. Remember, this world is not our home. We're just passing through.